Hey guys, and welcome to Show Me How to Buenos Aires. Cell phones, data plans, phone calls, basic stuff in the real world, complicated stuff if you're in Buenos Aires coming from the States. So let's take a look at what your options are for using a cell phone in Buenos Aires. First things first, you cannot get an Argentine calling, data, and texting plan without a DNI. So go ahead and cross that one off the list, and let's focus on the two main options you do have. One is to get an international plan with a US carrier, and two is to get a local Argentine SIM card with an unlocked American phone that you can then use as a pay-as-you-go for phone calls and data and texts with either Movistar, Claro, or Personal, which are the three main carriers here in Argentina. Number one, using a US phone with a US carrier and an international service. Now, the first thing you want to keep in mind if you choose this option is the price tag. And various US carriers will have various limits and prices, but a lot of them will offer $10 a day plans, $30 a month plans, but a huge shout out to those carriers who actually offer unlimited international data and texting. They are amazing. My personal favorite is T-Mobile because they have been my carrier for the last 3.5 years and they have been incredible. Now, that's not to say that it will be smooth sailing the entire way. Usually what tends to happen is the first few days you're in the country, you have some trouble connecting to the network, and you may have to call your carrier to reset network settings or whatever it is that they do to get your phone to work. But after a while, it generally tends to work really well, and sometimes it even has better internet connection than my Buenos Aires phone. Now, when you're using an international plan with a US carrier, they generally tend to cover you pretty well when it comes to the internet or texting, but generally still burn you pretty badly when it comes to phone calls. And so what I would recommend is if you're calling home to friends or family, use an app like WhatsApp, FaceTime, Viber, or Skype. Those work really well. But when you're making a call to a traditional phone number or a business, you're going to need another method. And what I would recommend using is Magic Jack or Skype. I would have to personally recommend Magic Jack just because I've used them for the last 3.5 years. They're wonderful. I've always had really good results with them. It costs about 2 cents per minute to call anyone in the United States or most countries in the world, actually. And if you want to splurge and pay $10 per year, you can get your actual own telephone number, so it makes you look like a real person, and people can call you on that number as well. The other great thing about using Magic Jack is to make local calls to Argentine numbers, so restaurants, real estate agents, hairdressers, businesses, places that you can't call app to app. Magic Jack is great with that because that also costs only 2 cents per minute. Option number two is to take a US unlocked phone and put an Argentine SIM card into it. And to do that, you'll need to choose between Movistar, Claro, and Personal, which are the three Argentine carriers here, and all of which offer about the same services at about the same prices, so you can't really go wrong. That being said, I'm going to have to give a personal recommendation to use Personal because I've used them before. They're wonderful. Their SIM cards are free. They take the time to put the SIM card in and get your phone activated, and you get WhatsApp for free for the first 30 days. Now I just want to quickly run through the steps of how to get that Argentine SIM card activated because it's not necessarily that intuitive and it can actually be pretty frustrating. You're going to physically go to a Personal, Movistar, or Claro store with your original passport, not a photocopy. You're going to ask them for a SIM card, which they should either give to you for free if you're going to a Personal, or for about 10 to 50 pesos if you're going to a Claro or a Movistar. Then you're going to ask them to physically put that SIM card into your phone because that's always really difficult and tricky to do. Ask them for the phone number and then ask them where the closest kiosco, Rapipago, or Pago Fácil is. Then you're going to leave the store, go to the closest kiosco, Rapipago, or Pago Fácil, give the person your telephone number, and then tell them how many pesos you want charged on your account. Now, you can theoretically charge as many pesos as you want, but those pesos are going to expire within 30 days. And so I recommend putting about 200 pesos on your account, seeing how far it gets you in terms of data and phone calls made, and then you can always recharge it later. After they charge your number, you're going to go back to the store where you just came from and ask them to activate your phone. Now, in theory, they should be able to give you an activation code that you call and the phone is just automatically activated, but that never, ever, ever, ever works. So I highly recommend setting aside a few hours to make sure you can go back. They can activate and set up the phone for you. And I always say, make sure you can send a WhatsApp message over the internet before you leave the store, because if it doesn't work there, it's not going to work later either. So there you have it. Those are your two main options for using a cell phone in Buenos Aires, Argentina. You can have your US carrier international plan, or you can have an unlocked smartphone that you put an Argentine SIM card into. And if you're wondering, is there any way to combine these two options into an amazing third option? The answer is yes, you can. You can buy a dual SIM card smartphone where you can keep your US number and plan, as well as input an Argentine SIM card so that you can have an Argentine number to make local calls, as well as keeping your US number. please feel free to leave your own tips, suggestions, questions, and war stories in the comment section. It's always really nice to know what has worked for other people so that we can all learn from it, and what hasn't worked for people so that we can all avoid it. And I hope this has been really helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.